Angel fans, can Griffin Canning be more than just another rotation piece? Possibly the top of the rotation for the Angels? Ron Washington thinks so. He even said so. So, everydayers, do we agree? I mean, it's Ron Washington, so why not agree, right? Let's talk about it. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you want to get back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. We love 5 stars. Thank you to those that have reviewed us recently. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become one of the 7,000 plus subscribers to Locked On Angels. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us. Be a part of the conversation. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can make every moment more. New customers, join right now and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started.
Thank you for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every single day. You've got the Frisch brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Mike, we've been fans of this team for years, and we're going into our 3rd season hosting Locked On Angel, and we're here 5 days a week for you, Monday through Friday, talking Angels baseball for about 30 minutes or so. Perfect for your commute to work. How about that?
Love that. Ready to go.
Hey, on today's show, I'm helping Mike with player pronunciations.
Thank you.
And I'm going to make him spell the word pronunciation, by the way. We're talking about Griffin Canning's potential, and we got to talk about yesterday's game, Mike. It was the first spring training win for the Halos this season. Let's get into it.
Yeah, the Angels won, which was good. They won 11-9 over the Giants. Here's some good, Johnny. We've got some good and some bad. So let me start with the good. A leadoff home run for Adrianza. Did I say that right?
I think so. That one I'm not going to touch.
Yeah, that's a great name. He had his first hit of the spring, first home run of the spring, actually. And then Aaron Hicks, 2 hits, including a triple that scored Adrianza, which was a great play. And then how about our boy Joe Adell? Sacrifice fly in this game that scored Aaron Hicks. And one of the things that we've talked about often is that he's looking for his pitch. Now, I know it's spring training, and one of our everydayers did say, hey, Mike, they're throwing a lot of fastballs in spring training. They're trying to figure things out. I get it. I understand that.
Yeah.
But what I love about Joe Adell is he's not being fooled by it. Like, he's going after that pitch. And so why not? If they're going to throw it to you, why not go after it? And he proved it yesterday, again, hitting a sac fly and using the field to score a run, right?
Yeah, it was interesting to watch Joe Adell because in his second at bat, he did ground out, but then he moved the runner over, and then he made him pay for it, Mike, with a stolen base. So yes, he did cause somebody to get out at second base, but I did like the aggressive base running in the sense that he got to second base on that stolen bag.
Yeah.
The other thing is he did have kind of a big strikeout in his third at bat, and it looked like the Joe Adell that we've seen before. It was like, dude, don't go chasing those low and away pitches, man. That's going to bite you in the butt if you keep doing that. So yeah,
every single time.
An interesting day for Joe Adell, including that sacrifice fly and that stolen base and then that strikeout.
You mentioned stolen bases. We'll talk about that in a minute because the Angels are actually running a whole lot. But Shohei Ohtani Jr., Hunter Dozier, hit a three-run home run.
Power 17, baby.
He's got 17. Yeah, so he's hitting a home run, which is great. John, at the time, it was 7-0 Halos. So I got a question for you. This happened in the first few innings, which was against stronger pitchers, stronger opponents. So what do you make of this immediate 7-0 lead for the Halos?
I'm interested to know more about the Giants starter because that certainly would play a factor. I'm not sure where he is on the pecking order for the Giants. But Mike, they did get to Taylor Rogers, who is a big bullpen guy for the Giants. And then they also got to their closer as well. And these are guys that are figuring in to be big parts of the Giants bullpen. Great to see, but I will cut those guys some slack considering it is the beginning of spring training and they're figuring things out. They might just be, throwing their fastballs in there just to see if they can get a feel for it. I will say this though. I will say that it felt good to watch the Giants pitchers and their struggles, not because I'm like punching down on the Giants, but because that's us a year ago.
Yeah.
That's us during the regular season.
Yeah.
And so to see that happen to the Giants felt like a world of difference from what the Angels have been doing. Obviously, things got a little out of hand, and we'll get into that in just a second. But to me, it was great to see Griffin Canning get out there. I know he scattered a couple of hits, and we're going to dive into Griffin Canning a little bit more, but it was nice to see the shoe on the other foot for a change.
Right.
And the Halo hitters, again, working counts and getting into favorable counts, taking their walks, stealing their bases, and using the whole field to make things happen.
Yeah, speaking of hitters, John, Jason Martin is kind of a pleasant surprise so far for the Halos. Now, he was a part of the trade that sent some guy that is now playing for the Yankees. He was on the Pittsburgh Pirates, went to the Astros. Doesn't really matter. But he was in that trade for him and a whole bunch of other guys. But Jason Martin started off really strong in the spring. He played in the KBO last year. He had a good slash line, 283, 360, 455. Some people say that the KBO is like AAA in Major League. So good AAA numbers for Jason Martin. He's only 28, potentially a good backup for the Angels. I know they have some other guys that they've signed and have been in the minor leagues, been in the major leagues before. And then, John, here it is. 5 stolen bases in this game.
Yeah.
Adell, Rendon, Hoppy, Adams, and Rada all stole bases. By the way, I love watching Nelson Rada run. John, the Angels have 10 stolen bases so far this spring, 1 behind the Rockies. Do you think that that's Ron Washington's influence?
I think so, big time. I mean, that's something that they've been wanting to emphasize. And they said it's not about the number of stolen bases, Bo Porter said. It was about the success rate. And so if the Angels can continue to have success, and that success rate, is 70% or above. I mean,
I think they're 10 out of 12 if I have those numbers correct. But
don't ask me that average, but
that's good. That's a good average, right?
Hey, and you know what? Bud Black still up in Colorado, so maybe there's a little socialism going on, sociable happening between the Angels and the Rockies, considering we're just 1 behind them. Mike, Nelson Rada had a go-ahead 2-run single and put the Angels ahead in the 7th inning. The Halos were up 7-0. They went down 9-7, got the lead back 11-9. Showed some offense this spring, and like you mentioned, Nelson Rada stealing bags, baby.
This is why I'm not a big fan and don't really buy into how the Angels get rated in their minor league systems, because Nelson Rada, 18-year-old, and he looked like a 30-year-old yesterday playing on the field. And there was another guy, I think he plays for the Padres. He's 17. He's ranked
Ethan
8th.
Salas.
Yes, he's ranked 8th. Right? Rada's not even I think top 100.
No.
This guy is so far been very impressive. He's taking pitches. He's got a great eye at a plate. It's actually something you and I talked about just a few episodes ago, what to watch for at spring training and some of the young players. He's got a great eye, John. He plays some great defense. And that hit when he knocked in the 2 runs to give them the lead back, that was a great seeing eye single. He placed that so perfectly between first and second. And I love his speed on the base pass because he is driving pitchers nuts. To your point, it's what Bo Porter wanted to see happen with the Angels.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, we got to talk about the bad. And this one gave a lot of Angel fans PTSD. I saw all over Twitter and social media was the bullpen. Jose Soriano came in. He did go 2 innings, but he gave up 3 runs on 3 hits. And Mike, he's going to be part of this bullpen. At least he's pegged to be.
Yep.
I would say that because he has options. And perhaps if spring doesn't go so well for him, there's a lot of veteran relievers who are vying for spots too. It's his first outing. I don't think that we need to be too concerned just yet. I mean, look, we all talked about Carlos Estevez last year and everybody was freaking out about that, but he was working on stuff. And so I think that at this point in the, 4th game of the year or the 4th game of spring and his first outing, these guys just got to get their feet under them. One thing I am concerned about, though, was Ben Joyce. He only got 1 out, and he gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, and he walked 3. Of course, he gave up a grand slam after walking 3 in a row. The guy just could not find the strike zone, and that's going to be an issue with somebody who's throwing 101. Look, I love a flamethrower, but the problem is that if you can't locate, then that's also going to be a problem. Ron Washington spoke after to Erica Weston and mentioned that
he did.
Sometimes with a guy like Ben Joyce, you got to take a little bit off the fastball to kind of get your feel back, try to get your location back. You don't got to go out there and throw it over 100 every single time. And so I think that is a conversation that he'll have with Wash. So again, bullpen struggles in this one from two guys that we figured would be in this bullpen this coming season, but
Sure.
with how successful some of those veteran arms have been, and the fact that some of these guys have some options, the younger guys, it could really go either way, right, Mike?
Yeah, I think I would put Joyce in AA or AAA to start the season. I think he still needs to do some work. I'm not necessarily in that position with Soriano. I think Soriano last year really proved himself, and I think that that's the pitcher he is. He might be working on some stuff, but because he does have options, you don't necessarily have to feel forced to put him in the major league bullpen. You can have him at AAA to work out some things, and maybe that's where they start, because the Angels did sign a lot of those veteran relievers, right? And so this might be a bullpen where they have that flexibility. What about that? Flexibility with the bullpen. I love that. So
what a concept.
I'm thinking that maybe Joyce is minor leagues and that Soriano will probably be major leagues this season. John, two interesting notes. One, our friend Swilly Sports on Twitter tweeted out that Rendon was booed in this game, and you could hear it on the TV side. It was the Giants' home stadium. Do you think that maybe this is the trend for the regular season with Rendon? Not necessarily maybe at Angel Stadium, but at other stadiums?
I don't know that he would make himself a villain for other teams. Like, I understand that, if it's an away game, like, he'll get some boos, but I was surprised by that. I also think that, it's not very far to travel from Tempe to where were they, Glendale? And so it's not very far for Angel fans to travel. So I'm sure that if he was feeling any heat, it was probably coming from Angel fans in that one.
Yeah. And then the second note, John, was back to Ron Washington. One of our everydayers said they already feel the impact that he's had on this team. I loved that you could hear him on the hot mic on the TV side yelling coaching tips to the hitters while they're at bat. And one at bat, he was saying, "Let those hands work. Let those hands work."
And it's him. It's so distinctly Wash's voice too.
And I just love that he's coaching all of the time, and I love that he is so invested in these guys, and he's calling them his kids. Like in that interview with Eric Weston, he's like, "Hey, the kids played well. Like, it doesn't matter who it is." And so there's something about this guy that we've heard that he just inspires people. But man, this is really tangibly different than it was last year at this time, and even last year during the regular season, and even the year before. Man, it just feels so different. In fact, somebody tweeted, who's a Braves fan, somebody tweeted and said, "I think the Braves are going to regret Ron Washington not being around and letting him go and not having him on this team anymore." And I think this is the impact that he has. And so, I'm hyped, but I think that we finally have a manager since Mike Scioscia that can get something out of these guys and teach these guys to be better at playing baseball, right?
Absolutely. Somebody had an interesting comment about Wash the other day when we were talking about his influence. They said he would have been hired a long time ago if he was any good. And I didn't reply to it, but I will answer that here. No, there's been a youth movement in managers the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a young, hip, analytical manager. And it wasn't until Dusty Baker and Bruce Bochy doing their thing that people started to go, oh, maybe those guys aren't done yet. Maybe that generation of manager isn't done yet. So I don't think Ron Washington didn't get a job because he wasn't wanted. It wasn't in vogue to hire an old school manager.
And I think that he really enjoyed his position with the Braves, right?
Yeah.
And he's an attractive manager. He hasn't ever lost or hasn't ever not won 75 games, like with teams that he's managed. They've won at least 75 games every single year, which is an improvement over last year for the Angels.
Right, exactly. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen every single day. Guess what? The Angels are playing the Brewers today at 12:10 Pacific time. It's former Angel Jansen Junk against new Angel Zach Plesac. It's going to be our first look at Zach Plesac. Hopefully he's figured out some things over the offseason that can get him back to the stud that he's been in the past, and not the 7 ERA guy that he was last year. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels. And we're just getting started here on Locked On Angels. Coming up, is Griffin Canning more than just a rotation piece? We've got some info that might cause you to change your mind about Griffin Canning, and we'll get into that coming right up.
All right, car people, lean in. I need you to listen to this. I need you to visit ebaymotors.com because they've got all the parts that you need for your car, your truck, or your SUV. And what I love about eBay Motors is they're there to help you. If you're stupid, car stupid like I am, eBay Motors is a gift to you because everything that you need to help maintain your vehicle, you can find it at ebaymotors.com. Plus, they're going to help you level up your car as well. They have superchargers and roof racks and exhaust kits and LED headlights and so much more. So whether you're into speed or power or style or all three like John is, eBay Motors has you covered. And they have over 122 million parts. I don't want to short that. 122 million parts for your car, truck, or SUV. So you can find exactly what you're looking for. And then when you find it, they have the eBay Guarantee Fit, which is part of a guarantee that they make sure that the piece that you get, the part that you get, whatever it is that you get for your car, it'll fit the first time. And then you don't have to worry about it again. And if you do have to worry about it again, they're going to give you your money back because they care about your car, your truck, or your SUV. They care about you. With eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not burning cash, which is great, especially in this economy, right? With all the parts that you need at prices that you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home a win. So keep your car, your truck, or your SUV alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay Guarantee Fit is only available to U.S. customers.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. Locked On Every Dayers. Don't forget to hop on over to Locked On Sports today on YouTube, the world's first 24/7 national sports streaming channel with the local experts of Locked On, plus the national hosts covering the top stories across the sports world every single day, 24/7 there for you. So head on over on YouTube to Locked On Sports today and hit subscribe to the first ever 24/7 national sports streaming channel.
John, you mentioned it that Griffin Canning pitched pretty well in yesterday's game. Super efficient, 2 innings, 4 hits, worked around some of those hits, 1K, faced 10 batters. And Ron Washington, before the game, gave him some high praise, according to Jeff Fletcher of the OC Register. Wash said that there may be older guys on that pitching staff, but let me tell you something. They don't handle their business the way that you handle yours. Speaking of Canning and speaking to Canning, Wash said he's an athlete. He's a natural leader, and that attribute I want him to use every single day. And so then Griffin responded with, wow, thanks, Wash. Like, obviously, Wash has been in the game for a long time, so that's awesome to hear. And I want to prove him right. I want to be a leader, so I'm going to do all that I can. John, I love what Griffin Canning had to say, but I love even more what Washington had to say about Griffin Canning. And Canning wasn't done. He said, when you look at it, I'm one of the guys that has been with the Angels the longest now. Isn't that trippy?
True.
That's trippy, right? And so I kind of know where we need to improve and do that kind of thing. So if we can turn it around, turn the culture around, and we can set it how we want to set it, anything is possible, and I am here to help with that. So I love his attitude, John. And I've always been a fan of Griffin Canning, and I always have seen him as somebody that isn't just a guy that fits into the rotation, but could be a guy that impacts this rotation. And I love that Ron Washington sees that too.
Yeah, Jeff Fletcher continued to write. He said, Canning made 22 starts last year and posted a 4.32 ERA. He gave up 3 runs or fewer in 16 of his starts. Fletcher writes that the next step for him is to make another jump in terms of innings and further minimize the rough outings. Canning said, I think it's more just a mentality thing. I think my pitches are my pitches. Obviously, we're going to tinker and make it as best as we can, but it's just going out there and executing one pitch at a time. Pretty much boils down to throwing strikes, jumping ahead of hitters, all of those cliche things. Usually the simple things are the most important things. Mike, what sort of things can Griffin Canning improve upon heading into 2024? And to know that, let's look at what he's done well in 2023. Why don't you take a look at that with us?
Yeah, we'll start with the batting average against. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that on your screen. 244, the league average last year was 246. So he's right about league average. His fastball velocity was almost 95 miles an hour on average. He was in the 62nd percentile. Whiff percentage, 29.1 in the 72nd percentile. His K percentage, 25.9. The league average was 22.7, so he's better than league average there. And his walk percentage, which is huge for Griffin Canning, by the way, 6.7%, and the league average was 8.6. So he's doing better. To sum it up, Griffin Canning's getting a lot of swings and misses, strikeouts, and he's not walking a lot of guys, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what areas can Griffin Canning improve? Mike, I identified Canning gets hit hard in 2023. The barrel rate, which is like the perfect trajectory of exit velocity and launch angle when it comes to barrel rate. His barrel rate was 9.8%, and the league average was only 6.9%. So Canning is getting hit hard and at that perfect launch angle and exit velocity. Canning's average exit velocity is 91 miles per hour, and the league average was 88.4 miles per hour. And then finally, the hard hit percentage against Griffin Canning was 44.2%. That's a certain exit velocity and above qualifies as hard hit, and league average 36.3. So when it comes to Griffin Canning, those are the areas that I think that he can improve for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's what's demonstrated here in what we saw yesterday in his 2 innings. Canning is great at staying around the strike zone, right, which is really important. But when his fastball gets hit, he's getting hit real hard. In fact, his fastball has a hard hit percentage of 49% last year. So
that's huge.
That's not good, right? And
Right.
Canning needs that fastball if he's going to use his most effective weapon, which is his changeup, right, Johnny?
Exactly. What can Canning do to fix what's going on with his
Canning
fastball? Well, here, check this out. This is the heat map for his fastball location in 2023 versus 2021. And if you're looking on YouTube, you can see that right there in the middle of the strike zone is the hottest part of the heat map, Mike. That's where a lot of his fastballs were located, right there in the middle of the strike zone in 2023, as opposed to 2021, where if you look, it's a little bit higher. Do you see that there in the middle of the strike zone? So in 2021, the fastball was throwing it a little bit higher, less toward the middle of the zone. The difference here is, and this is what I want to point out, the weighted on base average for his fastball in 23 was much better than 21. And the reason why is, if you look at the heat map for 2021, you can see he's all over the place with his fastball. You can see that blue is everywhere he threw the fastball outside the strike zone. And so it was better located in the zone, but it was better in 2023 in terms of being nearer the zone. The problem is he's just hitting the middle of the strike zone with his four-seamer way too much. So, Mike, really what it comes down to for Griffin Canning is he's got to fix that location. He's got to fix where he's throwing that fastball. He's got to be able to dot it rather than throw it down the middle. And to be honest, we kind of saw that yesterday. There was a hit that happened yesterday, and he missed his spot, and Logan O'Hoppe and him talked about it after he gave up a hit, and he was kind of like, hey, dude, I wanted that down here. You threw it like middle in. And so it was a pretty clear sign that those guys were working on that together. But Mike, got a few takeaways here. What are those for us?
Yeah, the takeaways from here is, first, we all want our pitchers to attack the zone, right? We want every one of our pitchers to attack the zone, reduce the number of pitches. That's the first priority for the Angels this year. If Canning is going to do that well, he's going to have to spot his fastball a whole lot better, because if he misses his spot or he doesn't dot the corners, he's getting hit really hard and hard enough to get past his infielder. So the defense behind him isn't going to be able to play the defense that they know that they can play, that Wash is teaching them how to play, right?
Especially if it's coming off the bat on average at 91 miles an hour. Like the difference between 88, which is about league average, and 91 is crazy coming off the bat. So yeah. And you saw that yesterday too. Like the ground balls were sneaking through because they were getting hit hard off that fastball.
Yeah, and then if he can spot the fastball better and get into pitcher's counts, his changeup, his slider, and his curveball are going to be really effective weapons for him.
Yeah, that changeup, Mike, is his best pitch, and I think it had a +5 run value last season. So if he's going to use that changeup effectively, he's got to be able to spot the fastball better. So hopefully that's something that he can work on through spring training, and we'll see if that's something that Barry Enright and company can help him do heading into 2024. But that's how Griffin Canning can improve. Got to spot that fastball better. You got to have better location on that fastball.
I love that spring training's here, but I also know that it's not the regular season yet. So there might be some of us everydayers that are like, man, I want real baseball, right? I want real baseball. So while you're waiting, let FanDuel help you in the waiting, and you can watch some NBA games because FanDuel is the official betting partner of the NBA. And right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. And you can bet $150. And if your team wins, woo, you win. That's a fantastic thing. So bet on all the favorite NBA players that you have. Bet on how many points they're going to score. Bet on how many rebounds they're going to get, how many technical fouls they're going to get. You can bet on all of that on FanDuel. Quick bets, same game parlays, exclusive props. If you don't know how to bet, FanDuel's there to help you. Check it out right now. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Get a big dub this offseason as we're ready for baseball season. We're letting NBA hold us together, right? FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Michael, my brother, you are notorious with mispronouncing player names. He says it's dyslexia, and I think that you actually probably do have that, but you don't go to the doctor or get diagnosed with anything.
No.
You're just a
Excuse
stubborn.
I'm running with.
Yeah, you're just a stubborn frisch like our father.
Yep.
But what I'm planning to do right now is to give you a little help here. So, Michael, I've got the official pronunciation guide for the Angels.
Love it.
I'm going to read some player names and give you the right pronunciation.
Okay.
And you repeat after me. So can we start with an easy one here?
Yeah, this is helpful because if I hear it, I actually do better. If I read it, I don't do well. But if I hear it, this is going to be a benefit to me and to our listeners.
This is going to help me out too, because we've been kind of flying by the seat of our pants. I literally would go to like interviews with some of these players just to hear somebody say their name, or even they say their name. And I'm really frustrated because the other day we talked about Hayden Sieg, and I heard from his mouth Sig, but the pronunciation guide says Sieg. So I guess we'll roll with that. Mike, let's start with an easy one.
Okay.
Joe Adell.
Joe Adell.
Well done.
Got that one
well
down.
done. Let's see. Sam Bachman.
Bachman.
Bock man.
Bachman. Right. Got it.
Carlos Estevez.
Estevez. Yeah. That one's been a frustrating one last year for me because I was saying Estevez and then I was saying Estevez.
Emilio Estevez. I swear to God. Emilio. Yeah. Estevez is
Estevez.
You want the emphasis there.
Yes.
On that syllable, right?
My emphasis is always wrong.
That's right. How about Cole Fontenelle?
Cole Fontenelle. Like him, by the way. I really like him. He's been pretty strong.
He could be a lot of fun over at third base. All right, this one is personally one that I struggled with. Yeah. So I am glad that it's here. So let me take a second to get this down here.
Jack, you're thinking, yes.
Jack Kohanowitz.
Kohanowitz.
Yeah.
Kohanowitz. Yeah, because at first we thought it was
Kachanowicz.
Yeah, and then I think an everydayer actually corrected us on that.
They said like Kokanovic, and I was like, that's way off.
Well, we appreciate the correction. We just need it to be the right correction, right?
Mike, this one took a lot of people by surprise, actually. Charles LeBlanc.
Yeah, LeBlanc. I was calling him LeBlanc all off season.
So
that's not
was I, but
everybody else was too.
Everybody else was calling him that too.
Yeah.
So LeBlanc. You want to emphasize the blonde, or if you want to get real French with it, LeBlanc. We'll just do that all season. This is another one that I think is a good one for us to learn. Camden, or Cam sometimes. Cam Manassi. We've been saying Manachi, but it's Manassi. It's Manassi. So there you go. You want to try that one?
Cam Manassi.
I love that. Love that. You know what's great is when we first traded for Logan O'Hoppe, I did our video and I said, we got some guy named Logan O'Hoppe. And then Steve Granado, who is a co-host on Locked On Yankees now, who used to host Locked On Angels, he reached out and said, hey, just FYI, I've seen this guy before in the minor leagues when I was calling games. It's O'Hoppe. So there we have that established. But yeah, that was a fun one for me. Let's see. Alan Ronhell.
Yeah, that one looks. Yeah, at first I thought it was Rangel, but it's Ronhell. Yeah, it's Ronhell.
Got to get that accent in there, man. That's the important part. Let's practice this because we're going to be saying it a lot this year. Nolan Shanuel.
Yeah, because we struggled with that last. We were saying Shanuel and
Shanuel, Simmons, Slippy,
Slappy, Swanson. I was way off.
The rest of these, I mean, seem pretty easy. I mean, we've got Gio Zuniga.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. No, it's not Zuniga. It's Gio Zuniga.
Yeah. I was listening to Wayne Randazzo pronounce his name on the game. I think it was Saturday's game, maybe Sunday's game. But I was like listening closely. I think I rewound it a couple of times. So it's Gio Zuniga.
Yeah, Zuniga. The reason why is
Zuniga.
because you have the Enya in there, so you have the accent mark over Zuniga.
Do the second name, because we talked about him in the first.
I don't want to do the second name. I don't. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Aire.
Aire
Adrianza.
Adrianza.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it looks like Ehire.
Yeah.
It's Aire.
Everydayers, say it with me. Aire Adrianza. You know what? Can we just have like a little, I'm going to put it up here to the left on the screen, just every time we do an episode so that I have the pronunciations in front of me.
Yes.
Because I'm still going to get them wrong, John.
I know. Mike, you know what's fun about Adrianza is he was one of the guys who was formerly with the Braves that when we first hired Ron Washington, and there was a lot of footage of him floating around working with a lot of the Braves players.
Yeah.
Adrianza was one of the guys in the video, and it was a ball was hit to him and he said, I couldn't see it. And so Ron like gave him some correction. And that was one of the first videos I saw where I was like, oh, this is going to be good. I'm excited for Ron Washington to be here. So Aire Adrianza, that's going to be very helpful. So yeah, hang on to this pronunciation guide. Yep. You know what I'm ticked off about is like 80% of the names that we talk about aren't on this pronunciation guide. Right. So we're going to have to dig a little bit deeper and find some highlights from AA and AAA and single A, whatnot, to get those names down right.
They put Joe Adell and Matt Theis. Like, we don't know who they are, right? Come on. Mike Trout. Come on, right?
You know what I love? Go ahead. Andrew Wentz, his note says, rhymes with pants. So there you go.
That's fun. All right. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, Angels playing the Brewers today at 12:10 Pacific time. It's Jansen Junk against Zach Plesac, former Angel, against current Angel. And you can catch every pitch of the Angels' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels.
Hey, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show on YouTube. Find today's show, get in the comments, and hit that like button on the way down in the comments section. It's the best way to get a hold of touch and in touch with Mike and I. Can't talk right now. It's the best way to get a hold of us is by getting into the YouTube comments. So please come on over and interact with us there. Mike, what do we have on deck for Wednesday's show?
I'm actually really excited to talk about Zach Plesac, watch him pitch, and then talk about him the next day. We're going to recap his first spring start for the Angels, and then we're going to share what Zach said that he's doing to get back to his old self. He's making a big change, and we'll tell you about that big change tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
I was going to say something really bad about big life changes, but you know what? It's a family show, so
don't do it.
All right, friends.
Don't do it.
We'll see you back here on Locked On Angels. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Michael Frisch, and that's my brother Jonathan Frisch.
Only mom gets to call me that. All right, friends, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday.
I'm already messing it up. Dang it. Adrianza. I can say
Aire.
Adrianza.